Here. Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Madeline. Super happy to be here. I will speak a little bit about developing new skills with help from two ambassadors that I'm gonna introduce in just a second. I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden, and if you are from Sweden or Denmark or maybe Finland, you've most likely been in contact with me. I was an au pair back in 2015 in the state of New York. It's a place called Watermill where I was taking care of two host kids. I did a lot of traveling as well during my year as an au pair, and it was very inspiring to hear from you girls at the past course here. I truly wanted to become an au pair because I also wanted to travel. I knew that I loved kids. I still love kids. I wanted to meet friends from all over the world, as I'm sure you want to do as well. I wanted to improve my English skills because I was very shy before I traveled as an au pair speaking English. But most of all, I wanted to grow as a person and challenging myself in various ways and gaining new skills. And one way of doing that was to take courses at an American university, which is what this session is going to be all about. A mandatory part as an au pair is to study at an American college or university. As an au pair, you need to study at least 6 credits, and this equals around 72 hours in school during an entire year. So it's actually a very tiny part, but something that all of you have to do. Your host family will also provide you with up to $500 for these courses. And you can study whatever you like, as long as you get credits for the courses. I myself took 2 weekend classes where I did study psychology, but I had friends that they study business English, they were studying American history, they were even taking, I know one of my friends, he was taking a bartender course, so there was like plenty of options to choose. And with those words, I would like to introduce today's guests. I'm welcoming Rebecca from Germany, who currently are an au pair in Chicago, and also Nortje, which is a former au pair from Netherlands. Welcome, guys. You're super, if you can unmute so we can hear you. Try to say hi.
Hi.
Super. Hi, Nortje.
Hi.
I'm so happy to have you here today. Do we have Rebecca here as well? I can see your name, Rebecca, at least. That's super. Okay, Nortje, I will go ahead with you then. I'm so happy to have you here today. Would you please have just a shorter introduction of yourself, where you were in au pair, how long you were in au pair for, and where you're from?
So I am Noortje. You can also call me Nori. That is how people know me in America, because I thought my name was a little bit too difficult to pronounce for Americans, so I just went by Nori. In my first year, when I arrived in 2018, I went to Washington State. I lived in a city below Seattle. And I took care there of 2 girls who were at that time 3.5 and a boy who was 7. After my first year, I wasn't ready to go back to the Netherlands, and I didn't want to extend with my first host family, so I decided to go all the way across country and go to Greenwich, Connecticut, where I took care of a boy and a girl, a boy who was 8 at the time, and a girl who was 9. And with that family, half of the year I went through as a normal happy au pair with a normal life, and half of it was the starting of COVID. So when I went back, it was all in the middle of COVID and things. So I had a little bit of COVID experience, and now I'm back in Holland.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. And you took 2 different courses in America, right?
I took like I took 2 courses in my first year, I did a sign language course because I thought it was really cool to learn something new. And even though my kids could already talk, I thought it was like a fun thing to also share with my kids. And I did a weekend course in Chicago because I also love to travel, and I thought it was a great opportunity to combine the two things.
Wow, what kind of course did you take in Chicago?
It was a development. No, what was it? It was a explore your skills or explore the city kind of course where we would go through the city and we would learn a bunch of things. And the best thing about that was that there were au pairs from all over America. So like one of my friends now that I met there was an au pair in Texas. And if we both didn't took that course, we would have never met each other. So that is one of the fun things about the weekend courses.
I think that's one of the most common questions. I know that I had that question when I was an au pair and taking all of these courses. How are there going to be a lot of other au pairs there? Will I get friends while I'm there? Would you say it was easy to get friends at the courses?
I have to say at the weekend courses, there were only au pairs because those are specifically made for au pairs. So there it's really easy to make friends because everybody is just there, you know no one. So you kind of have to talk with people. So that makes it easier to get to know each other. With the other two classes I took, especially the American Sign Language class, I was the only au pair there, and they were just only Americans, and most of them were a lot older than me. So that was also, it felt a little bit weird, but it was fun.
Wow. How was that, being only with Americans? That's cool.
Yeah, they thought it was really cool that I was not an American. They were like, "Oh my God, are you from Holland?" But it was really nice. And as you can see on the picture, the lady on the right, she was the one who gave the course, and she's an American. She's actually deaf, so there was no other way to communicate with her than only with sign language. And I'm still in contact with her, so that is really nice. She is a lovely woman. And even though I'm back here in Holland, we still talk on Facebook sometimes, and we see how life is going on with each other.
But how did you know any sign languages before?
No, nothing.
Wow, that's very impressive. Cool. But how, I'm a little curious, how come you wanted to study sign language, or any course that you take? How do you take the decision of what you would like to study when you are an au pair?
So first of all, my LCC, so the person who is the person you talk to from cultural care in your area, she sends us every time an email when new courses start. So she makes it very easy for us to find courses. So she gives links of all the close by colleges that you can go to. And from there, I'm just looking through, and I thought I wanted to learn something new. I wanted to do sign language. I wanted to learn a new language, and why not with your hands instead of talking? So that is why I decided to do that one. And with the weekend course, it was more seeing which dates would work for me, because of course you have to talk with your host family about it. And the only weekend that I could go was the one with Chicago, and I hadn't been to Chicago yet, so that is why I decided to go there.
So then you can combine the traveling with the courses as well. That's cool.
Yeah.
Super, super. And you said that you were showing your host kids the sign language that you have been taught. How was that playing out?
It was great. Like my two little girls, they didn't went to school yet, so it was just like the year before they started school, and they were ready, but they weren't just not allowed to go to school yet. So we did homeschooling, where I would do some things, and then I started to teach them sign language, and then Briar, she could do the first letter, and Fiona. So Briar was like running around with a B, and Fiona was like running around with an F, and it was the most amazing thing. And they would be like, when they were eating, I would ask them questions and ask them to respond in sign language, because then they could just keep eating. And they were like, "Are you happy right now?" And they were like, "I'm happy," or "Are you sad?" Or it's like, it's really fun. And they could say at one point, "Hi, my name is," and then B or F. Because of the full name is like, it's a lot, but like the first letter they could do. And of course, the favorite one is like the "I love you."
I will say that would make the communication even stronger, maybe.
Yeah.
Language as well. Cool.
Yeah.
And how do you apply for the courses? How did you do that? Did you contact the school? What kind of document did you fill in? You don't have to be very specific, but I think a very common question is how do you actually apply for the courses while you're there?
So for the ones at my first year, I don't really remember. I think I also just had to sign in a form. For my second year, I do remember, because then in the email that we got from our LCC was also the sign up form, and you had to fill that in. And you had to email it to a certain person. So you just had to say, "Hi, I want to take this course, and it's this number." So it's really easy. It's like not a big issue to fill that in.
Mm-hmm. And
Madeline, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to let you know Rebecca has joined us as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Perfect. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining us as well. I'm so happy to see your face.
Thank you.
Cool. I'm sorry, Noche, that we interrupt you. I think it's super okay if you finish answering the question, and then I would love for Rebecca to introduce herself as well.
Oh no, that's totally fine. Yeah, you just have to fill in a form. It's really easy. It speaks for itself. So your LCC is more than happy to help you. So that would not be a problem at all.
Super. Thank you for sharing. Rebecca, super. If you could unmute yourself. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
So happy to have you here. Would you also just make a shorter introduction of yourself? You're not a former au pair. You're a current au pair, right?
Yes. Okay. My name is Rebecca. I'm 21, and I'm from Germany, and I live in Chicago since June 2019. So I've been here almost 2 years, and with the COVID extension, like the exception, I'm going to stay even longer. So yeah, and I'm taking care of 3 boys here.
And how old are your host kids today?
They're 6, almost 5, and 1.5. So wow. I came here before the youngest one wasn't even born. My host mom was pregnant, and now he's walking, talking.
Oh, how was that to be a part of that journey?
I mean, it's super awesome. I mean, obviously I've taken care of babies before, but like being there from like, I mean, I saw my host parents drive to the hospital. I took care of the boys, and then going to the hospital like right the next day and seeing a baby with not even a day old. It's just so wonderful, and like being able to teach him so many things. Yeah.
Cool. Maybe you and Noche can connect a little bit earlier, and you can also learn some sign language too.
Yeah.
I would love to. Well, Rebecca and I know each other, so that is really fun.
Oh, super. Problem solved. Cool. And Rebecca, you have also been taking some classes, and since you're here now during COVID as well, I know you've been taking both classes face-to-face, but also online classes, which is more popular now. Would you tell me a little bit about what courses you have been taking so far?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I came here and my goal was like, okay, I want to go to an American university or college, and I really have this experience. So I came in June, and then in October and September, I started looking at universities, and I found a university here in Chicago that offered business communication. So I went to the university in person, and then I got a class which was super international. Like we had students from China, Nigeria, Sweden, Norway, And because it was business communication, like our first class was like really getting to know each other. And like one of the tasks was to do a presentation about ourselves. So we really got to know each other, and I'm still friends with them on like Instagram, and I have my professor on LinkedIn. So I really love that experience of having like the American college life. And then once I did another weekend class before COVID in December 2019. So I flew to Tampa, Florida, and actually met up with a friend that I made in training school.
All right.
Yeah, so it was nice. It was like almost like the training school atmosphere. Like you get to know au pairs from all over the states and like have classes together. And I think it's similar to Nori. It was like a discovery class. So we had like a photo challenge in Tampa, and we had like little class trips almost to different places in the city. And then during COVID, I did 2 online classes. I decided that I want to study business administration once I'm back in Germany. So I did another marketing class, which was super helpful to kind of get a feeling of how the university life would look back when I'm home. Mm-hmm. And I also, after doing all this like business communication, marketing, I also wanted to have more of a hobby class. So I decided to do a photography class as well.
Cool. So how do you do a photography class online?
Oh, I mean, it's called Au Pair Classroom. So you have one weekend, you have basically 3 online sessions, and where there's a professional who shows you your camera and tells you what you have to look for when taking photos. And then the whole schedule is kind of online, and you work through papers. And then if you have questions, you can email the teacher. But I basically went out every weekend, looked at the task, and just went outside to take photos. Or one task was to take portraits. So I took photos of my host boys, which was really nice. I could give them to my host parents as a gift as well. Yeah.
Great. And how did you decide on what courses you wanted to do? You took such a, variation of classes.
Yeah.
How did you choose to take these classes? What made you take that decision?
The college that I went to here in Chicago, I actually saw at an au pair takeover before I came to the US. I saw someone who lived here, and she said, oh, I took classes at this college. And when I came here, I looked it up, and it's like, oh, it's 20 minutes from where I live. So I already knew that they had experience with having au pairs at their college. And then the other ones, I knew that the weekend classes were kind of popular before. I didn't plan on taking one, but then my training school friend said like, hey, I'm going there. Do you want to meet up? Because we wouldn't have seen each other otherwise. So I looked up online, and it's basically like an online application. You put in your LCC name, their email, then contact informations about yourself, and then you're in. Like, it's very easy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. I'd love to hear all these stories. Super, super cool. And how did it work? I think a lot of us have questions regarding the financial part. Did any of you pay, nor to you, more than welcome to answer here as well. Did any of you pay any additional costs yourself, or was the $500 provided from the host family enough for the courses?
Oh, no, it was not enough. No.
Tell us more about it.
So it is not like that you have to pay like hundreds and hundreds of dollars more, but I think I paid an additional maybe $200, but that also was because the travel courses are of course more expensive, because there is also the in-housing and the food that you have to eat. So I paid I paid $200 extra for my first year.
Cool. And for you, Rebecca?
With the online classes, it's really easy, especially if it's like the specific au pair programs, because they make it for you to have 3 credits for $350. So if you take 2 classes, you have all your credits. Yeah. And then for university classes, I would always ask to audit. Like, I was sitting in the class, and our professor broke down how much we pay for 1 hour. So my peers would pay $2,800, but because I chose the option to audit the class, I only paid $125 for 2 credits. And then the weekend classes, if you're traveling I got lucky because my host mom paid my flight to Tampa with her United miles. But so I paid my Airbnb and they paid the class. So I didn't have to pay any additional money. Yeah.
Cool. And how did a week, I know you both took weekend classes. How did that work? You got to travel somewhere, you got to experience that specific place. Were you at a specific classroom at this time and then you were writing an assignment, or what? When you say weekend course, what does that actually mean?
And you can, do you want to start?
Anyone?
You can go, Nora. You can go.
Okay. So for me, the first class started, so you have to take certain classes, and it's actually very intensive for me, at least it was, because I had like courses from 9 a.m. in the morning until 7 p.m. So you're busy all the time. It's not like you can explore by yourself the whole weekend. So I had to leave the night from Thursday on Friday, like very early. I had to take a flight to Chicago. And then from Friday until Sunday in the afternoon, I think it was like until 3 p.m. I had courses, and then I could fly back on Sunday so that I was home to work on Monday again.
Super. Cool. So busy.
Yeah. Oh, I think what's also important, if you're taking like the full 6 credits, it's you fly there on Friday and Sunday. That's where you have in-person classes, but you're also going to have pre and post assignments. So it's like you do a little bit of work beforehand, then you fly there on Friday, have classes from like, I think like noon until then Sunday afternoon. And then you also do post assignments in order to get all 6 credits.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. We also got pre-asked questions that I would like to jump in with. Some of you have asked questions before this meeting started. And I know one of the questions, I'm just going to read it out loud, was, is it possible to earn your credits at a Harvard or any other Ivy League school? If so, how and when should I start applying? And I can just answer that question. And just as all of you have seen now, there are plenty of possibilities. You can take weekend courses, you can take online courses, you can take classes at a university, at a college. It's plenty of options. You can also take a class at an Ivy League college for sure, but you should be very aware of that it will most likely cost you more, as you mentioned here as well. Not all classes are covering these $500. It did for me and all of my friends that I was spending time with when I was an au pair. But in case you want to study at a Ivy League school, or in case you want to take more than 6 credits, if your au pair schedule allows you to do so, it will most likely mean that you will pay for these classes yourself. So that's very important to know. Norcha, I wanted to ask you, since you have returned home from the US now, how would you say that the studies has impacted your life since you came back home, if it has?
So in my second year, I decided to take classes that would benefit myself as a person for when I would come home. So I took an English business class, which was all about how to communicate with people and how to know how others communicate with each other and the types of communicators there are. And when I was taking the class, I was like, I'm not sure if this is really interesting for me. But then when I came back and I started my study again at my college, I realized I saw like all the different types, and it made so much sense for me, and I could communicate with a lot of people so much better. So it really benefited me when I came back to Holland.
Cool. And Rebecca, I know you are currently an au pair, but I could tell, I would imagine that you still feel that all these courses have benefited you in one way or another. Is there anything that you would like to share that you really think have, improved you in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I came here to the US right after high school, and I had the plan in my head, oh, I'm going to study law. And it changed so often during those 2 years now. So if you're coming right after high school, it's a great opportunity to kind of explore your options. So that's what's kind of leading me towards business now that I'm almost coming home. And then I also thought like taking a photography class. Like I noticed now that if I'm taking pictures, I'm like kind of in my head, I'm already thinking about it, like what's the right angle, how do you do that? So I think whether you're gonna take like more of a fun class or something that's gonna bring you further professional, I think it's just a great option to take classes here.
Super. I love that you're mentioning that. I feel just the same. I mean, I do work in an international environment now, and I speak English every single day. And I remember I was so very shy before I went as an au pair, and now I speak English all the time, you know. And I know for sure that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for my choices of studies and my experience as an au pair. Super cool. Thanks for sharing. As an end, before we wrap up, I have one last question for both of you. I want to start with you, Rebecca. What skills would you say that you are most proud of that you have developed during your years in au pair?
I think multitasking will be my, I mean, especially now, like coordinating work schedule and taking classes, or just taking care of 3 kids in general. Like there's so many things that I wouldn't have thought I'm capable of doing. And it's just, yeah, I mean, even talking to my parents on Skype calls now, they're like, you changed so much, but like in a good way. Yeah.
Cool. Super. Thanks for sharing. That's a lot of things. I love that. And how about you, Norte?
I think it is the part that I became more independent. And that I can say that I became an adult and independent, that I am not afraid to step forward and say something, and especially also with my English skills, that I can be at this presentation and just talk English after a whole day of talking Dutch. So that is a really nice thing.
Is there a chance you can share any of those skills in sign language for us?
What?
Is there a chance you can share one of those skills in sign language for us?
I cannot do that. I'm sorry.
Maybe you want to share another word. Maybe we can teach and learn something from you today.
We can say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Then I want to say thank you to both you, Norte, and Rebecca for sharing your experiences and insight today. It's been super inspiring to take part of your stories today. And best of luck to both of you this upcoming year in all you do.
Thank you.
Back to you, Laura.
Great. Thank you. Okay, another short break before we start our live talk with our local child care consultant and some au pairs and host families in the US. So just go ahead, take a moment, scan this QR code if you didn't do it before, to learn a little bit more about au pair life and if it's right for you.